Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold episode. I have another deck for you for Maliss in particular, or in this current metagame, that I do think is pretty well suited. And the reason for this is because we can play 3 Lancia, and it doesn't actually hurt us. Unlike a bunch of other decks where if they play Lancia, it ends up just being a detriment if they don't see Maliss. So, overall, what is this deck? It's Melodious. You saw the title, you saw the thumbnail, you know what this is, it's Melodious. Melodious is very well positioned in the current metagame. If you don't know what Melodious does, it basically uses fusion summons like Baka as well as Ethoil in order to generate a ton of advantage off of just small, not small effects, but like one card, right? If Ostinato or First Movement Solo or Refrain resolves, you get a whole bunch of additional advantage in order to put a pretty sticky board together. That's mostly what I would call it. It is a sticky board. It is something that is difficult to deal with, but not necessarily a problem to deal with, right? Because there's not a whole lot of interaction. It's mostly this card right here, which just banishes any number of Melodious monster you control until the end phase, to then bounce cards, face-up cards your opponent controls, to the hand, right? Pretty powerful. On top of that, it has a floating effect that summons from deck or extra deck, which is also very nice. All in all, that is what the game plan is. Making this guy, or if you use it as like an engine, you would use this to go into Baka, which then would like summon a Refrain and all of that stuff in order to go into an Abo, right? That would be one of the other things that you could do off of this. But this deck in particular, I think is very, very powerful because of the fact that Shopina, which is a card that says once per turn you can target a light fairy monster in your grave, add it to your hand, adds specifically Herald of Orange Light and Lancia back to your hand. Meaning, if you Lancia your Melodious your Maliss opponent, you can just repeatedly do that over and over again. And because you can play through hand traps very effectively as well, due to the fact that pretty much every single one of your starters also is not really a hard stop, right? The only thing that hard stops is like if you only have one of them, but for the most part, if you have multiple of any of these, they all just do the combo and generate a ton of advantage off of any of them, especially Ostinato because it's not once per turn, branded fusion basically, so it's very, very powerful. But all in all of these paired together means you can play through hand traps very well, which is good against Melodious, or Maliss, and also you can recycle things that are very, very good against a lot of decks, but most importantly, Maliss. So I think it's very well positioned in the current metagame. I think it is a big boon, or it's gotten a big boon in the Maliss deck being as prominent as it is, and yeah, we're just playing it pure. So let's quickly go through the card by card and the explanation. Starting off with Ostinato, it special summons itself as well as gives a boost to the attack, which is pretty nice, but it's mostly used for the special summon effect. We have Aria, Cannon, and Shopina, which are all kind of bricks. Cannon is mostly just here as an additional thing that you can do. It's an additional guy that you can special summon, and it can move some guys' attack position, which is fairly okay because there are a lot of things that special summon in defense. We have Aria, which is very important to the end board because when summoned, or while special summoned, you cannot be targeted nor destroyed by battle, which is very nice. So you just can't be targeted by card effects, and then you can't be destroyed by battle, which is very solid. There is another card that you could play, which is Elgi, which says special summon Melodious monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects, which does help, but for the most part, I don't see it as worthwhile as Aria, and mostly it is just a kind of like additional brick that I don't really want to play. Shopina, as we previously mentioned, is also very nice. We're also playing 3 apiece of Refrain, which is very solid. On normal or special, add a Melodious monster. The monster you're adding is Couplet. Couplet, when added to the hand, except by drawing it for your normal draw, you then get to reveal it to special summon a level 4 or lower Melodious monster from hand or grave, and then on top of that, both of them have the effect where they put themselves into the pendulum zone if used as fusion material, or if a fusion monster is fusion summoned while they're in the extra monster zone, or in the extra deck. On top of that, Couplet has the effect to add a spell trap, a Melodious spell trap, from deck to hand if you only control Melodious monsters, or no other monsters. So that's pretty nice. What we're adding here is Concerto. Concerto fusion summons a fairy monster with hand, field, and or pendulum zones. Very nice. And then if a Melodious fusion is sent to the grave, you can put it back onto the bottom of the deck to draw a card. On top of that, we have First Movement, which special summons a level 4 or lower, and Ostinato if you control no monsters. And this one, as well, if you control no monsters, Branded Fusion. Pretty simple. The rest of the cards are pretty simple as well. Herald of Orange Light, 3 of, Lancia, 3 of, Ash Blossom, 3 of, Fualos, 3 of, 2 Nibiru, 2 Maxi, and 2 Infip. You could probably change something like Infip for the 3rd Nibiru or something like that, but Nibiru is not great because of the Ostinato and first movement, so if you activate the Nibiru and, like, nib your opponent, you might not be able to actually play the game there. So that is something to keep in mind as well. And then, you know, Infip is pretty good overall. As for the extra deck, it's pretty simple. 2 Schuberta, which just banishes cards from the grave to modulate its attack. That's pretty good. Also, if you banish it and bring it back, it's also very solid because of the fact that you get to use it once while it's face up on the field. So if you were to activate E-Toil and banish the Schuberta, and then it comes back, you can use it again, which is pretty cool. We have Bloom, which is a way to OTK, and it has the ability to, like, recycle. So if you get Max Seed on Ostinato or something like that, and you don't have their answer, you can go Primera to just immediately add back the material, which is pretty solid. We also have Baka, which fusion summons, or on special summon, you can special summon a Melodious from deck, and then if sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one from grave in defense. Pretty solid. And then E-Toil, as previously mentioned. We also have Baguska to play around Maxi as well. We have the Typhon as well. We have Gravity Controller in order to link off the Baka in order to use that effect as well if it gets negated. We have 2 Bloom Harmonious, which special summons 2 to the link zones it points to by discarding a card, which is pretty nice. It does special summon 2 of different levels, so do keep that in mind. You can't special summon like 2 4s, right? These 2 are 4s. This is a 3. That's why we're playing some of the other cards as well, like a Sonata. So there's that. We're also playing Protector of the Ancients, which is just a fairy monster that you can link into in order to pop a card. That's it. Then we have SP and Apo. And that's it for the deck. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performed. Alright, so here we are going second, and yeah, you should be able to see what's about to happen here. Obviously, my opponent is playing Melodious, or not Melodious, Maliss. We're going to activate the Lancia, it's going to resolve, and we're going to be able to play the game. This is more or less what the deck accomplishes, and that Herald of Orange Light is going to be insanely valuable here. We're going to start off here with Baka. Baka is going to activate its effect in order to special summon from deck, which will probably be impermed. That's a-okay, because guess what? We now get to activate this guy's effect and activate it in order to grab a Concerto. We're then going to activate the Concerto, which will then allow us to fusion summon it into Bloom Primera, which mostly just triggers the other guy in grave, while also putting the couplet back into the pendulum zone. We're also going to special summon out the refrain, which will probably be met by another imperm, which is again a-okay. Here we can just link off into Bloom Harmonious. We're going to activate the effect of the Bloom, pitching the Ash. We're going to activate the effect of our Primera, which is going to then add back the card, and then we are also going to draw a card. We draw Sharpina, which is like really bad here, but that's fine. We're going to special summon 2 and then target to put back the Bloom Primera. Here we can go for the fusion summon of Schuberta, and then we are going to put a card back into, or sorry, because of that, we get to go for the refrain, which then puts itself back into the pendulum zone. We're going to pendulum summon 1, 2, and 3, and then we are going to activate the effect of the Sharpina to add back the Lancia, and don't worry, it's lethal. We special summon the Sonata using its own effect, boosting up the entire field, and then at that point we can go to battle and kill our opponent. That's more or less what the deck looks like going second. Alright, so here we are once again going second, and once again, you can kind of see what's about to happen here. My opponent is obviously playing Maliss, and they're going to immediately pass the turn. Wait, that's not what's supposed to happen. Don't worry, this game is basically me going first. My opponent activates the Lancia immediately off rip, and I'm like, that's a-okay, because we're going to normal summon the refrain. Refrain is then going to activate the couplet, or yeah, grab couplet. Couplet is going to special summon the soprano, and then promptly get met by Ash Blossom on the follow-up. That's fine. We're just going to fusion summon here into the Baka. I'm going to give them 2 additional draws here as well, mostly because I want to summon the Aria so that we can just go to combat and like be protected. I feel pretty confident. We have Lancia, we have Maxi, we have Infip. I'm feeling pretty good overall, so let's see what my opponent does. We're going to activate the Maxi. It will probably be met by Ash because of course, and I mean, again, I have Lancia. I'm not too concerned here. We're going to go for the Lancia here. They don't activate anything. They pass the turn. Coolio. Let's see if we can kill him here. Now, before we do that, my opponent activates the second Maxi. You'll love to see it. Maxi at 2? Where? Anyway, activate the Concerto. We're going to normal summon again. We're going to grab up the Sharpina. We're going to special summon out the Sharpina, and Sharpina is going to grab back the Lancia. And we can do that every turn. We can just do that every turn. So even if they were to have survived there, it doesn't matter. Lancia kills them every time. That's one of the things I wanted to show you. Incredible. Okay, once again, going second. Look, I only ended up winning going second, which is kind of funny. against this deck. So, yeah, let's see what we can do. My opponent activates Shifter, which is really bad for us. I'm just going to fire off the second Full Loss. I don't know if this is necessarily the best idea, but at the very least, if it does pass their turn, like, that's pretty good, all things considered. So, there's that. It does, in fact, pass their turn, so maybe we can do something here. That doesn't really do it. They activate their own Full Loss. I'm like, okay, there's not a whole lot I can do here. I'm just going to go combat. I could have, like, Concertoed in order to get us an additional thing, but I think we're just going to pass here and see what they do. They're going to go Malice in the Mirror here. They're going to banish the Dormouse. Dormouse effect is going to activate, and they're going to special summon it. They're going to activate the effect of the Dormouse, and at this point, it feels pretty bad, but Called By is fairly good against this deck, especially if they do this. So this is why we don't do this and why we elect to actually utilize the rest of our effects here, because Splash Mage it's just not very good here. Now, had they gone like Haggard, it still wouldn't have mattered because Called By just kind of cooks us, or cooks the opponent here. But alas, yeah, Splash Mage was not the play there. We're going to target their target and just banish it, and they pass. Well, let's see what we can do here. We're going to draw Herald of Orange Light, which is kind of okay, but we're immediately going to start off here with the Concerto. They're going to special summon out Heartscriptor. Now, Heartscriptor is live. They do have Dormouse banished. So, pretty much if they just immediately banish this Baka, there's not a whole lot that I can do about that. Like, maybe I could go... Okay, there is still stuff that I could do, but genuinely speaking, that is probably their best option. Except for the fact that they are immediately going to do that. I forgot that they had MTP. It's fine. We're going to go for the Refrain here. We're going to activate the Refrain. They're going to go Hair. They're going to banish a card, which is then going to banish another card, so that they have all of the necessary materials here off of the, or for the Heartscriptor. That's fine. We're going to go Couplet to special summon the Sonata, and there's not a whole lot that I can do here. I'm trying to keep the Herald here, but I realize, I kind of forget. This is a goof on my part, all things considered. I have the Couplet, but I've already used Concerto, so this is just a goof on my part. I should not have activated the Couplet here, and I should have potentially kept the Herald of Orange Light potentially alive. It doesn't matter too much, all things considered, because Herald's not actually going to do anything, but alas, they still don't activate the Heartscriptor here, because, again, if they had just activated it to banish our Bloom, it wouldn't have resolved, and then I'm just kind of straight out of luck. But alas, they don't, and so I get to go Soprano and Strapina. They're going to elect to Called By the Cannon, which is fine, but we're just going to add back Sonata here, and then special summon the Sonata, and then we're going to fusion summon here into Etoil, which at this point, it doesn't matter what my opponent does, like, we have enough to just deal with their board. Etoil itself deals with pretty much everything that they have put forth. So, yeah, we go for the Refrain, we send a guy in order to boost up our Etoil, and then we just go to combat. They elect to not activate anything here, and there you go. I think here they thought that they would be able to reborn the Heartscriptor, but Heartscriptor was not properly summoned, so they can't actually summon it back. So, okay. They grab back the March Hare, and I just bounce their monsters back to hand, because at this point, they are extremely low on life points, and there's not a whole lot that they can do. So, good game, I guess. They really ended up throwing that, but very funny overall. They put two monsters onto the field, and I just bounce them back to hand, and that's pretty much how this is going to go, because if they want to special summon, they're on 800 life points. They could only special summon 2 guys, so it's not really going to do a whole lot there. Good game. Alright, here we are going first. What do we actually do going first? Let me show you. We're going to start off here by normal summoning the Refrain, activating its effect in order to add, again, Couplet, even though it may seem strange. We're going to activate the Couplet effect, which will probably be met by an Axie, which we will probably Ash Blossom. We're going to keep the Herald of Orange Light in our hand. We're going to then link off into Bloom here, pitching our Couplet in order to special summon 2. We special summon Soprano, as well as Strapina. We're going to then add back our monster that we discarded for the effect, and then go for the Couplet. Couplet effect is going to grab Concerto. Realistically, I should have pretty much immediately activated the Couplet, but I did need the extra draw, or discard there. Anyway, Baka activate, and then chain the Pendulums, and we're going to summon the Aria, so that we are not targetable. Then we fusion summon using our Strapina, or not Strapina, Soprano, in order to go into Schuberta. Schuberta is just the banish, so it's pretty solid as well. We're going to Reborn as well as draw a card, funny. And then we are going to Pendulum summon exactly 1, so that we can fusion summon again into Etoil. This is more or less what we're ending on, right? We have the Herald, which is decent, but not, like, insane. But most notably, we have a non-targetable field, we have a Banish 3, and we have Etoil, which is a bounce of up to 3. that's more or less what the deck ends on. It's not insane, but it is a 1-card combo, which means any other 4 cards in hand could be anything, which is very, very nice. So there's that. Anyway, my opponent is going to start by activating the Hidden Armory, and I go, oh, Macaco, because obviously. So I just banish my entire field, and they're going to come back later. We had the Herald of Orange Light, so I wasn't too worried about us just immediately dying. But at this point, the game is over. We're going to grab Sonata, special summon it, and then just go to combat here. So, yeah, this was mostly to show you what we end on. There you go. Alright, and we're back with the deck, and honestly, this deck did significantly better than I was expecting. I originally went into this just kind of like hopeful that, hey, it's a deck that plays fairies, so we can play Lancia and Herald of Orange Light. Wow! But it actually ended up being a lot better than I was anticipating. The ability to play through hand traps, specifically not named Foolos nor Maxi, was very helpful, because a lot of the things that people are playing, like Lancia, or Ash Blossom, or even like Ghost Bell, don't really do a whole lot. They can, but just due to the fact that you can generate so much advantage off of pretty much anything, you don't really lose to any one card in particular. You don't lose to Droll, you don't lose to Ash, you don't lose to even Foolos. You still have a lot of plays around, which is pretty nice. So there's lots of different things that you have in your disposal to really play around and to not immediately die to pretty much anything, which is very, very solid. On top of that, you can play a bunch of hand traps yourself, which is also very nice right now because of things like Lancia, Foolos, Maxi, etc. being as powerful as they are right now. It means that a lot of times you can just turn skip your opponent and then play on your turn as if nothing had happened, which is very, very solid. And then on top of that, Etoil is extremely powerful right now, mostly due to the fact that Link monsters don't exactly like not going to the grave or being banished or what have you. And because it's a non-targeted effect, you get to send things that maybe normally would be protected or something else of that nature, which is pretty nice. But also, the other thing is that Arya being able to protect your monsters from targeting is also very nice because of a lot of different things. Having a lot of targeting interaction specifically means that like being able to protect yourself from like imperms and veilers and stuff like that is very, very strong. So there's that. That being said, I don't think it's the end-all be-all. I don't think it's like the answer to Melodious or to Maliss or something like that. I keep getting those mixed up. It's not the answer to Maliss. But it is a deck that doesn't lose to, like, any one thing in the current metagame. The reason this deck didn't do nearly as well in previous metagames was due to the fact that having such a mediocre board, quote-unquote, having such a, like, mid-board wasn't exactly great, because you really needed a strong end board to be able to stop things like Snake Eye or, like, Memento or something else of that nature that had a ton of engine and could just like push through these very simple boards and kind of forced you to use your weaker end board or your weaker interactions more early, whereas Maliss doesn't really do that. Like bouncing the cards back to the hand is a death sentence to them a lot of times, right? Most notably things like, you know, normal summon Dormouse and then you just put it back in hand and they're like, well, crap. So there's a lot of stuff like that. Like if they don't have the March Hare, if they don't have the trap card to set first or something else of that nature, right? So there's a lot of stuff like that that I think is pretty solid. And again, being able to play a million hand traps that are very specific and basically turn enders alongside the Herald of Orange Light and just Lancia in general, very, very solid. That's going to be it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy. If you did, that like is very much appreciated. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.